Book 6 of the Odyssey is called The Princess and the Stranger. After the violence of the storm in Book 5, this chapter opens in a very different world. All that tumultuous action is over. The raging sea, the angry god, the shipwreck. We meet a gentle young princess named Nausicaa, waking up from a dream. The setting is calm, domestic, peaceful. She and her companions go to the river to wash clothes, and for a time the scene feels light, even playful. Of course, that calm will not last. Suddenly, a stranger appears. Odysseus emerges from the bushes. He's a mess. He's alone, exhausted, filthy, unrecognizable. He has lost everything. His ship, his supplies, even his clothing. To the girls at the river, he looks wild and dangerous. All but one of them run away. Nausicaa stays. This moment begins a different kind of challenge for Odysseus. For Odysseus, the warrior, his survival depended on endurance and strength, and his special talent, a kind of puzzle-solving cunning. Here, it will depend on something else. How he presents himself, how he speaks, and how he is perceived by others. As we read this chapter, we'll pay close attention to word choice, how Homer uses language to shape not only what we see, but how we feel. You may already be familiar with the term tone, which describes the author's attitude. In this chapter, we'll also begin to notice mood, the emotional atmosphere of a scene, and how it changes as the story unfolds. A peaceful morning, a sudden interruption, a moment of decision. We'll begin by tracing what happens in this encounter in an objective plot summary. The chapter opens with Athena visiting Nausicaa in a dream. Disguised as a friend, she encourages the princess to go to the river and wash clothes, reminding her that she will be ready to marry soon and should prepare her household. The next morning, Nausicaa asks her father, the king, for a wagon and permission to go to the river. She travels there with her attendants, bringing laundry to wash. After the work is done, the girls bathe, eat, and begin to play a game with a ball. During the game, the ball is thrown off course and lands in the water. The girls cry out, and the noise wakes up Odysseus, who has been sleeping nearby, hidden in the bushes after his shipwreck. Odysseus rises and reveals himself. He is naked, dirty, and exhausted. Frightened by his appearance, most of the girls run away. Nausicaa remains. Odysseus carefully considers how to approach her. He decides to speak from a distance, using respectful and thoughtful language to ask for help. He praises Nausicaa, compares her to a goddess, and asks for clothing and directions to the city. Nausicaa responds kindly. She orders her attendants to return and assist him. Odysseus bathes, dresses, and made more presentable. With Athena's help, his appearance is enhanced, and he looks taller and stronger, more impressive. Nausicaa gives Odysseus instructions for entering the city. She tells him to follow at a distance to avoid gossip, and to go directly to her mother, the queen, and ask for help. Book 6 ends with Odysseus preparing to enter the city of the Phaeacians. Now let's take a closer look at how Homer uses language to shape this scene. We've previously discussed the literary term tone, the author's attitude toward the subject. In Book 6, the tone of these opening scenes is gentle, observant, lighthearted even. How the princess speaks with her somewhat indulgent parents, washing clothes, eating treats, playing a game. This is all described in a way that feels calm and orderly. But alongside Homer's tone, there's another literary device acting in parallel: mood. Mood is the emotional atmosphere of a scene, how the writing makes us feel as readers. At the beginning of the chapter, the mood is light and peaceful. We see a group of young women working and playing by the river. The language creates a sense of ease and safety. We're not worried for them. Then, very quickly, the mood shifts. A shout, a sudden movement, a stranger emerging from the bushes. The same setting becomes tense and uncertain. There's danger for the girls. A strange man might threaten or harm them. There's danger for Odysseus. He doesn't know who these girls are, but we do. We can imagine that royal guards might appear and punish this interloper who dares to interfere with the princess. Homer creates this shift through word choice and description. Odysseus is described as dirty and unfamiliar, someone who does not belong in this calm, orderly space. So, even though the tone remains controlled, the mood changes dramatically. So here's the distinction. Tone reflects the author's perspective. Mood reflects the reader's emotional experience. In Book 6, Homer carefully guides both, moving us from calm to tension, and then gradually back towards safety as Odysseus and Nausicaa begin to speak. Let's look closely now at how Odysseus speaks when he approaches Nausicaa. This is a moment of real danger for him. He is alone, unarmed, and vulnerable. He knows that if he frightens her, she may run and sound the alarm, and he will lose his only chance for help. So, before he speaks, Homer tells us that Odysseus pauses and considers his options. Should he approach her directly and grab her by the knees and demand help? Or try to assert his power? No. Should he keep his distance? Yes. This tells us that Odysseus has the self-control to not act impulsively. He chooses his approach and his words carefully. He speaks from a distance and uses respectful, formal language. He begins by addressing Nausicaa with admiration. He compares her to a goddess, a powerful compliment in this world, where beauty and divine favor are closely connected. By elevating her status, he shows respect and reduces the sense of threat. He then explains his situation briefly and humbly. He does not reveal everything about himself. He could take this moment to boast. He could say, "I'm the famous warrior Odysseus. I'm the king of Ithaca." But he simply asks for clothing and guidance. His request is modest and carefully framed. Odysseus understands that how he speaks will determine how he is received. And it works. Nausicaa does not flee. She listens. She responds with kindness. She chooses to help him. Once again, we see that Odysseus is a man of many strengths other than physical power. He has an emotional intelligence that means he can act with self-control and awareness and skillful speech. Odysseus comes through this interaction by understanding how to speak in a way that earns trust. Now let's consider another important aspect of this scene: appearance and how it shapes perception. It seems that in the world of the Odyssey, looks matter a lot. When Odysseus first emerges from the bushes, he is described in a way that makes him seem frightening and out of place. We get an epic simile that makes us think of a powerful, dangerous beast. This is someone who does not belong in this peaceful setting. The reaction is immediate. Most of the girls run away. Homer is showing us that outward appearance plays a powerful role in how a person is received. Respected characters in the Odyssey are often described as like the gods. This is a phrase that can refer to physical beauty, but also to presence and dignity. Some people have a kind of visible excellence. In this world, how someone appears can influence whether they are trusted or feared. Will they be welcomed? And that creates a challenge for Odysseus. He must move from being seen as a threat to being seen as someone worthy of help. We're learning how vital it is to think about how you are perceived by others and how quickly perception can change. With the importance of appearance in mind, let's look closely at the moment when Odysseus reappears after bathing. Homer takes his time describing this transformation. Odysseus washes away the salt and dirt from the sea. He treats his weathered skin with oil. He puts on clean clothing. And then the description lingers. Notice the imagery. His body is described as stronger, more defined. His hair becomes his crowning glory. The language elevates him, not just clean, but impressive. At this moment, Athena's influence becomes visible. The poem tells us that she enhances his appearance, making him seem taller and more striking. Her work is compared to something radiant, almost shining like polished metal. Nausicaa sees him again, and her reaction changes. Where there was fear, there is now admiration. Where there was uncertainty, there is now attention. All the girls come out and attend him, and he receives hospitality, food, and drink. This is a shift not in who Odysseus is, but how he is seen. And Homer makes that shift visible through description. The careful use of imagery allows us to experience that transformation alongside Nausicaa. We are meant to notice it and understand it. We believe that Odysseus will be welcomed into society. By the end of Book 6, Odysseus is no longer alone on the edge of survival. He has re-entered the human world. In the previous chapter, his survival depended on endurance, on his ability to withstand the sea, the storm, and exhaustion. In this chapter, survival takes a different form. It depends on how he is seen, how he speaks, how he responds to others, and in turn, how they respond to him. Odysseus must move carefully between danger and opportunity. He must present himself in a way that earns trust. He must speak with respect and restraint. And he must understand the social expectations of the world he has entered. Through his encounter with Nausicaa, we see yet another side of Odysseus, a man who appreciates the power of perception and social graces. At the same time, Homer shows us how quickly perception can change. A stranger who appears threatening can become someone worthy of help. A moment of fear can become a moment of connection. And so our story continues. Odysseus is still far from home, but now, for the first time since his shipwreck, he has a path forward. If you spend your time with Socratica, we promise that you'll learn more. When you're ready to go further with this chapter, our reader's guide will help. You'll practice analyzing how word choice creates tone and mood, and how appearance and behavior shape first impressions. You'll also explore how Odysseus's language and presentation influence how he is received and how quickly perception can change. And you'll have the opportunity to do some writing of your own, stepping into the scene and retelling this encounter from a different point of view. To get the most out of this experience, you'll want to take your time with the text. Notice the details. Pay attention to how Homer guides both what we see and how we feel. When you're ready, we'll continue as Odysseus enters the city and takes his next step toward home.